Tarzan of the Apes, brought to you from out the pages of Edgar Rice Burroughs' gripping book. Come on. He went that way.
No, wait a minute, Clayton. Don't shoot again.
I tell you, I saw him. The ape man, whoever he is.
Monsieur, what is the matter?
The ape man, and here we are wasting time.
But surely Monsieur would not shoot.
I did shoot.
But Clayton, listen to reason. Don't you understand?
I intend to get him, and that's all there is to it.
One moment, Monsieur. I believe that I was placed in charge here.
That is correct.
Then if I am to be in command, I will be obeyed.
As far as your sailors are concerned, yes. But you have no right to order me.
Monsieur Clayton, I have only one thing to do here. That, my impetuous friend, is to rescue Monsieur le Professeur's daughter. If anyone interferes with the possible success of that enterprise, then I will take the necessary steps.
Take what steps you please, Lieutenant. I'm going.
Silence! If you do not obey me, Monsieur Clayton, I am sorry, but I will find myself compelled to order you aboard the cruiser, and regretfully, very regretfully, clap you in irons.
Come, Clayton, you're distraught, upset. I don't blame you. If Lieutenant Darno understood that you were very fond of Jane...
Monsieur Clayton, I am entirely impersonal. You have shouldered the responsibility of keeping your party intact. Eh bien, you are tired. I am fresh. It is only fair that I should now assume that responsibility.
Well, very well. I'm sorry.
Mais non, pas du tout. That is not necessary, monsieur. It is already forgotten.
Clayton, will you permit me to point out to you something that is very foolish?
Yes, certainly.
You, Clayton, are determined in your stand that this ape man, jungle fellow, whatever you please to call him, has kidnapped Jane.
I'm convinced that I'm right.
And you have every right to your conclusions. But we, the professor, Lieutenant Darno, and myself, all are agreed that the blacks are responsible. Now, Clayton, don't you think that in deference to the majority, you should say nothing more?
Well, very well. I will say nothing more.
And also, my friend, if you were correct, then killing this man, the only man in your belief who knows where Jane is, well, Clayton, in short, it's not good judgment.
Yes, I suppose you're right.
What is all right, Clayton? I was quite lost in thoughts about my poor Jane. Did I hear you speak of the blacks? Was it some of those aborigines you shot at?
Oh, no, it was nothing, Professor. I thought I saw something in the trees, but I was entirely mistaken.
I was afraid...
No, Porter, there was nothing at all. Come on, we'll go into the hut, prepare for our journey.
In the forest, Jane Porter, awaiting Tarzan's return, hears the distant report of Clayton's rifle. Momentary panic seizes the girl. What can it be? Her father? Philander? Clayton? Or... The very thought freezes her. White skin. She looks about her. The jungle that had been almost friendly only a moment ago now seems fraught with 1,000 dangers. If White Skin should never come back... Again, Jane Porter's eyes search the jungle depths. To be left alone. To die here... Rustling leaves. Jane turns her head, sees Tarzan, and with a cry of relief, she stretches out both arms toward the ape man.
Oh, White Skin! I was so afraid. I heard a shot. I didn't know what had happened. I thought you might have been killed. Oh, I don't know what I thought.
Overcome by relief, Jane talks on, forgetting that Tarzan can't understand one word. But Tarzan does understand her mood, and holds the girl close to him, soothing and caressing her as one would a frightened child. Jane looks up at the ape man.
And here I am, talking on, and you don't understand a thing I'm saying. But you haven't any idea how glad I am to see you, how I long for you to come back.
White Skin, come back. Come back, quick.
Yes, I suppose you have, but it seems like centuries to me. White Skin, Sit down. Sit down, Whiteskin.
Sit down. Sit down.
Jane releases herself from Tarzan's arms and, taking him by the hand, motions him to sit beside her.
Down. Sit down.
That's right. Say it over again.
Over. Again. Over again.
No, Whiteskin. Sit. Sit down.
Sit down. Whiteskin, sit down.
That's it.
And suiting the action to the words, Tarzan seats himself beside Jane Porter.
I wish you could tell me what had happened. Did you put out the fire? And what was that shot?
Shot. Shot.
Yes, shot. Bang, bang.
Jane raises her arms as if holding a rifle when she says bang, bang. Tarzan's eyes gleam. He raises his hand and passes it quickly past his head.
Shot. Shot. Bang, bang.
Again, the ape man brushes his ear with his hand.
You, Whiteskin? Someone shot you?
Someone shot Whiteskin.
Into Tarzan's mind flashes the memory of Clayton and the raised rifle. Tarzan has learned enough about firearms to realize that they signify death. His eyes become clouded, his brows wrinkled. Why should this white man, this man he has saved from Sheeta the leopard, try to kill him? He had thought that these men were different from the men that had come from the thing that floated upon the water, but Tarzan shakes his head.
How I wish I knew what had happened. If I only could make you understand. If only I could make you understand that I must get to that hut.
Hut? Hut?
Yes, the hut.
And Jane at last has got Tarzan to say the word hut, but has no way that she can think of actually to convey the meaning of the word. The sun falls away to the west. All afternoon the sailors have carried supplies from the cruiser to the hut, and Professor Porter, Philander, and Clayton watch with satisfaction the final preparations for departure.
Soon it will be dark, and tomorrow will see us well on our way into the jungle.
Yes, Professor. And well on our way towards finding Jane, I hope.
I'm so nervous. I know it sounds ridiculous, but this waiting, this doing nothing.
Yes, Clayton, we know. By the way, Clayton, it's barely possible we shall not return here. Don't you think that you should take Greystoke's diary and papers with you?
Oh, thanks, Philander. I hadn't thought of that.
By Jove, this tin box has been moved.
Porter, Philander.
Yes, what's wrong?
What is it? Greystoke's diary. It's gone.
Well, you must have placed it somewhere else, Clayton. No one would think of
I'm
taking
sure I did not. I know that I left it here, in this box.
Let us look about the hut. It can be of no possible use to anyone but you, Clayton.
What is this? No, this is one of the other books.
No, it's gone. And after all, there are not many places in this bare cabin where it could be hidden.
Very mysterious, Clayton. Are you positive that you did not take it with you at some time and lose it?
Absolutely not. In fact, just before Jane disappeared, I was looking at it. I placed it in this box. I know I did.
Of course, it's possible that Jane placed it somewhere else.
Yes, Philander, that is true.
But where? It's not in the cupboard nor in the bunk here. It's certainly not on the shelf. No, I know where it is.
You do?
Yes. You both laugh at me when I tell you.
Well,
the only man interested is Tarzan of the Apes. He took it. I'm sure the jungle man I fired at was Tarzan of the Apes.
You fired at him? You fired at Tarzan of the Apes?
Yes. He was going across the clearing when we came back from the boat. I'm more certain than ever now that it is with him that we shall find Jane.
But Clayton...
All right, Philander. I have no more idea than you have as to what he could want with the diary. But I'm just as sure that I'm living here. Well, Donna, are we ready to start?
In a very little time, monsieur. I think that we had perhaps better rest and be ready to leave at sunrise, which, my friends, is not so very distant.
Oh, it seems very stuffy tonight. I was thinking. Tell me, Lieutenant, will your men be carrying supplies all night?
But yes, monsieur.
Then I suggest that we leave this door open, since there's no danger with the sailors moving about.
Excellent idea, Clayton. Come, Porter. You too, Clayton. Let us get some rest.
The jungle night, somber, stifling, menacing, closes in. The curling fog rolls in from the sea and hangs in murky banks of blackness along the jungle fringe. Suddenly, quietly, a shadow, black and fantastic, detaches itself from the surrounding gloom. Closer and closer to the hut it creeps. Now it stands up. It's a man, Slowly, he draws an arrow from the quiver at his back, fits it to the bowstring, his gleaming eyes on Clayton, and pulls. Tarzan of the Apes, brought to you from out the pages of Edgar Rice Burroughs' fascinating book.
Fermez cette porte! Close that door, someone! What was it?
I'm not sure. I believe it's an arrow.
Monsieur Clayton is right. It is an arrow. Mais, mon Dieu, Professor, do not touch it. The natives in these parts use poisoned arrows.
Whoever it was must be fearless to come so close to the hut with all these sailors moving about me here on the beach.
Not fearless, monsieur, merely cautious. What is it, Clayton?
Pardon me.
Come, Clayton. Out with it. You're not the man to pass remarks without reason.
I prefer not to say anything.
But, Monsieur Clayton, surely in a matter of such importance to Monsieur le Professeur...
Very well. This arrow is like a dozen others I saw in Tarzan's quiver.
Of course, Clayton, you are entitled to your opinion that this jungle man who has rescued us is Tarzan. But on the other hand, how do you explain the fact that the jungle man neither understands nor talks English? Yet we have here a tangible evidence in the shape of a printed warning signed by himself that Tarzan does understand English, and quite well, too.
I don't pretend to be able to explain it. I feel it. Incidentally, I'm probably wrong in all of my deductions. But if this jungle man is not the one who fired the arrow, then who is?
This is my explanation. Les cannibales.
Then if the cannibal shot the arrow, and since I myself have seen similar arrows in the ape-man's quiver, it seems reasonable to assume that the ape-man has some contact with the cannibal.
As to that, of course, we cannot answer.
No, exactly.
I shall go and question the men as to whether or not any of them saw anything. But I think not. If they had, I feel sure they would have mentioned it. You bring up a very important point, Clayton. Very important.
Very disconcerting. Very disconcerting.
Because it disconcerted me was the reason I was loath to mention it. But we might as well face the fact.
It's all very puzzling. For the life of me, I cannot see why this man should have been so solicitous about our welfare and then act in the manner you suggest, Clayton.
Except that, of course, Clayton fired at him last night, and he may have returned to avenge himself.
No. Sorry, Philander. But that is not the answer either. You see, the fellow, when I fired at him, disappeared into the trees. If he had wished to kill me, he would have done it then, comfortably, without fear of detection.
Yes, Clayton, you're right. And that makes it all the more reasonable that the arrow was shot by one of the blacks.
But great Scott, Professor, we've been here for weeks and have never seen hide nor hair of the blacks. And now, because of 2 or 3 footprints and a poisoned arrow, we jump to the conclusion that the jungle is infested with cannibals.
Very true, Clayton. And very puzzling. Very, very puzzling.
Of course, Philander. Of course, we mustn't discount that drumming we heard the day before Jane was captured.
Oh, that's quite right. And also we have Darno's word for it, that there are cannibals quite close at hand. All that puzzles me is, why have we not seen or heard them before?
Monsieur, the men saw and heard nothing, but we have discovered footprints, and many of them.
Then, if Jane is in the hands of the blacks, she must be nearby.
In a very short time, it will be daylight. We shall follow then the trail, and I pray le bon Dieu will grant us success.
Over the jungle, the tropic dawn flings myriad fingers of iridescent light. Jane Porter, in the rude shelter built for her by Tarzan, wakes and lies listening to the muted voice of the wakening jungle. The billowing fog of the night before has disappeared, and the patch of sky above shows hard and bright. Down by the waterhole, jungle beasts make way for the majestic bulk of Tantor, the elephant. Jane brushes aside the leafy screen of her resting place and looks out. Tarzan is gone. She rises and moves out onto the platform, looks about her. There, coming through the middle terrace, his arms piled high with fruit, is Tarzan.
Good morning, Whiteskin. You're up early.
Early, the ape man lays the fruit on the mossy carpet and springs into the branches. Tenderly, he lifts Jane and gracefully, easily carries her to the ground.
Jane, hungry. Eat?
Yes, Whiteskin. Jane hungry. Eat.
Together they sit down to a breakfast of wild fruit, the heir to the Greystoke land and titles, and this American girl, Jane Porter, who believes that Cecil Clayton is the heir to Greystoke and that somewhere in this wild jungle, Clayton, her father, and Philander are searching for her. Jane holds a wild plum toward Tarzan.
Plum, Whiteskin? Plum.
Plum? Plum. Plum, 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 plum. Whiteskin, eat plum.
Whiteskin, you learn easily, quickly.
Quickly? Quickly.
Yes, Whiteskin, but you have a little difficulty with that one.
One?
Yes, one.
Jane holds up one finger, then two, and repeats the numbers alternately.
1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2.
1, 2. 1, 2. Jane, 1. Whiteskin, 1. Jane, Whiteskin, 2.
That's it. Now you started to count.
Count?
No, that's too hard.
Jane picks up the quiver of arrows that Tarzan has laid aside when he sat down to eat. The ape man quickly takes them from her. Drawing one of the arrows from the quiver, he points to the darkly smudged tip.
Kill. Kill quick. Kill.
Poisoned?
Tarzan looks puzzled. He has just learned the word kill, used it as he believes in the proper sense, and now he looks inquiringly at Jane.
Yes, Whiteskin. Kill.
Jane makes a gesture of repugnance as she thrusts the arrow from her, but Tarzan springs to his feet, turns and helps Jane to hers. He takes the bow and, fitting an arrow to the string, motions to the girl to stand in front of him. Jane grips the bow. Tarzan places his hand about hers.
1, 2.
I understand.
1, 2.
And Tarzan repeats the 1, 2 as he places Jane's first finger above the arrow, the second below it, and pulls the bowstring taut. While Jane is receiving her first lesson in archery, Clayton, Professor Porter, Philander, and the sailors under Lieutenant Darno start on their safari.
Well, in some ways, I'm sorry to see the end of this hut, and in others...
I'm glad. Inactivity drives me wild. We can't find Jane hanging around this hut.
Yes, Clayton. Doing anything, no matter how useless it appears, is better than thinking all the time.
Eh bien, are we ready, monsieur? The ship will leave in just a little time to go back down the coast.
Right, Lieutenant. Quite ready.
Alors, mes enfants, chacun à sa poste. En avant!
I will close the door. I think it's better.
Yes, Philander. Although there is something final about closing a door, still I think perhaps we had better leave it as we found it.
Come on. You don't want to get separated?
Come
All
in,
right,
Clayton.
Clayton.
We'll be right with you.
Wait a minute. We'll be right with you.
While Jane Porter has been practicing with bow and arrow, she's been actively turning over in her mind phrases and words with which she can convey to Whiteskin, as she calls Tarzan, not knowing that he is Tarzan, phrases that will let him understand her wish that she must return to the hut.
Whiteskin.
Jane.
Tarzan lowers the bow. Jane steps close to him. She pretends to struggle with him, raising and lowering her arm as though her hand held a knife. She enacts the scene of Tarzan's killing of Turcos.
Whiteskin. Kill. Eat. Jane. Whiteskin. Go. Go quickly.
Whiteskin, kill. Turquoise. Jane. Whiteskin, go. Go quickly.
Yes, but, oh, if I could only make you understand.
For the moment, Jane stands undecided. If only she had some way to get Whiteskin's mind directed toward the hut. Quickly, she thinks again of the various words Whiteskin has learned. The fire. It couldn't have been the hut. Whiteskin would have been upset. What could it have been? The beacon. The beacon Clayton built. That's it. Then there must be a ship.
Whiteskin. Jane, go. Fire.
Fire. Fire.
Tarzan indicates the fire was blown out.
Yes. Fire out! Jane, Whiteskin, go! Fire!
Tarzan grasps the meaning. He bends down, picks Jane gently from her feet, and leaps into the low-hanging branches. Swiftly, unerringly, from branch to branch, vine to vine, the ape man carries the girl upward and onward.
What is that? A ship!
Ship?
Yes, a ship! Oh, we may be rescued after all. Oh, hurry, Whiteskin, hurry!
Hurry!
Yes, go quickly!
And Tarzan, understanding Jane's excitement, speeds with her in his arms toward the hut and the ship. Tarzan of the Apes, brought to you from out the pages of Edgar Rice Burroughs' wonderful book.
I am sure, monsieur, the blacks must have camped here for the night. Voila! Signs of a fire. And there, a broken gourd.
Then if it was one of this party who shot the arrow, he probably left the camp.
And indulged in a little archery practice, Clayton?
That's as good a reason for land as any, I can think of.
Monsieur, you must not seek for reason in what these blacks do. They have a mentality far below that of a 6-year-old child, and their reasoning, tonnerre, it is nothing.
Then, Monsieur Darno, you infer that if one of them decided to shoot an arrow into the hut, he would do it?
Oui, monsieur. That is precisely my meaning. And I believe there are from 40 to 50 of them in the party.
In which case we should be able to handle them nicely.
Mais non, monsieur. Even if we outnumbered them 10 to 1, here in the jungle they are at home. Very much at home.
But surely our rifles against their bows and arrows, even if the arrows are poisoned.
Ah, Monsieur Clayton, of what use is a rifle if one cannot see that which one wishes to shoot? These blacks move as silently as the night itself. They will hide in the trees and pick us off one by one if we permit them to do so.
Then it would seem that the most sensible thing for us is not to get separated.
It is our only chance, except that I am using éclaireurs, what you call scouts, who will warn us of approach. And now, monsieur, a request.
Yes, what is it?
Certainly, my dear, no matter what the circumstance, no matter what you believe to be the provocation, as long as I am with you, do not shoot without my orders.
But great Scott, man. We can't stand idly by and watch if we're attacked.
We shall not stand idly by, mon ami. But I am the only member of the party who speaks the dialect. I would much prefer to talk my way out of any situation. But if that should fail, alors, we fight.
You have my word, Lieutenant.
And mine, Darno.
Et vous, Monsieur Clayton?
I suppose so, Darno. Although I feel that I can use discretion.
Je vous remercie. I knew I could depend upon Monsieur Clayton. Then, it is agreed. We will be as quiet as possible. But there are places we will be forced to cut our way through. Jungle so dense that it seems like an impossible barrier.
By the way, Darno, in case of a poisoned arrow, what is the poison, and what's the antidote, if any?
A very wise question, Monsieur le Professeur. The poison, I do not know. It is made from herbs. It is a fluid which, if it comes in contact with one, oh so little a wound, is death.
Regular witch's brew.
I do not know what that is, our witch's brew. But to save oneself, a tight bandage above and below the wound, and a sharp knife to cut away the poisoned flesh.
And if it becomes necessary to suck the poison from the wound?
Then, wash out the mouth with this solution, which I always carry in my medical kit, or some of this very strong French brandy as a mouthwash.
We shall remember it.
I wouldn't mind a little of that French brandy.
Overstimulation, my dear Philander, I have always told you, is highly injurious.
For myself, I'll risk the injury.
To Jane Porter, carried along at unbelievable speed in Tarzan's arms, the distant blast of the steamer's siren brings conflicting emotions. It signalizes the rescue of her father, Philander Clayton, and herself. But does she wish to be rescued? She looks up into the ape-man's face. The fine features, unmarred by dissipation, were her guarantee that he would never harm her. And she's strangely content. On and on they speed through what appears to be a solid mass of verdure, yet scarcely a leaf touches her. As if by magic, the way seems to open before this forest god.
We must be close, Whiteskin.
Without slackening his speed, Tarzan looks down into Jane's face.
Close? Close?
Yes, Whiteskin. Close.
Sunlight suddenly pours through the breaks in the trees. They're at the clearing. Tarzan holds Jane with one strong bronzed arm as he drops quickly from limb to the ground. Jane opens her eyes to find herself on the moss-carpeted jungle floor. She points through the more openly spaced trees.
The hut. There's the hut.
Hut?
Yes. Yes, Whiteskin, the hut. Jane, go hut. Whiteskin, go hut.
Tarzan slowly shakes his head. An indescribable longing overcomes the ape man. This she, Jane, wishes to leave him, to return to her own kind.
Come, Whiteskin. Quick. Go. Hut.
Again Tarzan shakes his head. The law of the jungle is that he should hold her by force. But had he, Tarzan, not killed Turcos, the bull ape, because he had taken this white she, Jane, by force? Tarzan himself does not know that it is the centuries of breeding, warring against a lifetime spent in the wild and winning, that compels him to act as he does. Jane goes toward the hut. She looks back over her shoulder to Tarzan.
Come, Whiteskin. Go to hut. Jane, go to hut.
Tarzan stands still, watching. Jane looks out to sea. The steamer is fast disappearing into the blue of the horizon.
The steamer is going away. Oh, am I too late?
Quickly, she runs across the clearing to the hut.
Daddy! Empty. Everything's gone. The Greystoke diary, gone too. And all the papers. Oh, that means that Pedro must have taken him with him. It means that I am all alone. Oh, Daddy, why couldn't you have waited or left a note? Oh, well, I suppose it's natural. They thought I was dead. And the steamer came. Daddy always said steamers won't wait. So they went. And now, Jane, back to the jungle. And Whiteskin.
As Jane Porter drops the locking bar into place, she turns tear-dimmed eyes toward the departing steamer. To her, not knowing that her father, Philander, Clayton, and Darno are in the jungle, the disappearing steamer means the cutting of the last tie between herself and civilization. She glances behind her at the hut. She would much rather live there than in the treetops, but her whole safety, her very life, now depends on Whiteskin.
Oh, Whiteskin, you'll have to look after me. You're all I've got left.
Jane runs across the clearing and throws herself into the ape man's arms. Tarzan holds the weeping girl to him. Gently he smooths the tumbled curls. Tarzan cannot talk, cannot say what is in his heart, but he understands. Jane has been hurt. Not a hurt that can be bathed in cooling water, but a hurt that only words can help. And Tarzan does not have the words.
Jane, go quick. Whiteskin, go quick.
Tarzan sweeps his hand toward the treetops. Jane looks up at him and tries to smile through the tears. The events of the past week tumble through her mind. Surely not events to cry about, she thinks. If Whiteskin had not saved her father from the lion, if he'd not saved her from Turcos, oh, surely she can depend upon Whiteskin to be her protector.
Jane, go quick. Whiteskin, go quick.
Yes, Whiteskin. Jane, Whiteskin, go quick.
And with the unruffled mien that characterizes this lost heir to the house of Greystoke, Tarzan lifts Jane from her feet, grasps a trailing vine, and easily, gracefully swings Jane with him into the trees. Meanwhile, far off in the ever-increasing denseness of the jungle, Darno's safari cut and hacked their way.
Utterly impossible to find one's way without a compass.
You're right, Clayton. Almost unbelievable. the thickness of this tall grass.
And Philander, equally, unbelievably...
Ha! It will soon be dark, and to move in the dark is to invite disaster. And so, monsieur, it is here that for tonight we shall camp.
Is it as late as that? Really, I hadn't thought so.
Monsieur Clayton has labored valiantly. That is why the time has passed so quickly. Come, mes enfants, on bivouac. It is here that we will spend the night.
I hate to admit it, but I am tired.
Take a good night's rest, Clayton.
And some strong coffee, Clayton, will work wonders.
I'm not so sure about a fire here. Oh, Adano, what about a fire?
Safe, I think, now. I have not heard anything of the blacks. What? Oh. Uncanny. Mon Dieu, the blacks. I just said that we had not heard them, and then this.
But what can we do?
Do nothing but stand still.
Tarzan of the Apes, brought to you from out the pages of Edgar Rice Burroughs' entrancing book.
Weirdest thing I've ever heard. What do you suppose it can be?
It is impossible to say, Monsieur Clayton. Different tribes have different methods of producing such sounds.
To me, at least, it doesn't sound human.
No, Philander, it is distinctly mechanical. Sort of compelling, too, don't you think? But yes, Monsieur le Professeur, that is its purpose. To entice you away from your friends, to follow it, and then, voila, fini.
Dano, you're acquainted with their methods. What do you make of the noise?
Two things, Monsieur Clayton. First, that they know where we are. Second, that knowing where we are and not attacking us leads me to believe that we outnumber them, or else they would not use this sound. They would attack at once. Very logical explanation, but Dano, what do we do? Nothing at present. We cannot go to sleep. That would be foolish. We cannot light a fire to make a mark of ourselves, but we must watch for the wild beasts.
But we can't stay here forever. We must do something.
When these blacks find that we are not to be lured by their witch doctor sounds and that we are watchful, they will go. And when they move, we shall follow.
No matter how much the weird sounds might appeal to my penchant for investigation, I should never voluntarily follow such sounds.
No, not you, Monsieur le Professeur. But the uncultured blacks also have the penchant for investigation. But they lack the intelligence that says, stay where you are.
Listen to that.
Distinctly uncomfortable feeling, this, of unseen enemies.
I may be wrong, monsieur, but that to me signalizes their departure.
And then what?
We shall settle down for the night, and in the morning we follow.
But we have followed. We've caught up with them, in fact, and nothing came of it.
What in the name of Clayton? You do not understand these primitive people as do I. If we were to attack them, they would in turn fight until the last man dropped, and then we should have no other way to discover Mademoiselle Portel's whereabouts except to look, and look, and look for a cannibal village. Par cette méthode, in this way, mon ami, we leave them unmolested, and they lead us where we want to go.
Well, I hope you're right. I'm sure after the time that has been...
Here is he! Speak! Qu'est-ce Pierre? What is the matter, Pierre?
Your men seem to be carrying something.
A man. A black man.
He seems to be in the last stages of exhaustion.
Buona.
Jambo, Tundi?
Tuba. Bado kidogo. Buona. Tuba baya sana. Akabaka. Beat mange. Tuba. Shai. Goma.
Can you understand him, Dano?
But yes, he says they, meaning his tribe, were badly treated by their white boss on the plantation and were on their way to their native kraal.
Ask him if he knows anything about Jane.
I'm afraid, Monsieur le Professeur, there is no use asking him anything more.
No, Professor. He is dead.
Fellow must have been tortured unmercifully. Look here.
There, monsieur, is the answer to why I have to patrol this coastline. That is a sample of the white man's authority.
You don't need to tell me that a white man did this.
His skin is white, and he wields powerful political influence. Every so often some of these blacks rebel, just as this man's tribe evidently did. He said that they were on their way back to their kraal, their village, thought that we might interfere with them, and, well, monsieur, you know as much about the rest as I do.
Well, if we have to spend the night here, I propose that we at least make ourselves as comfortable as possible.
But yes, par ici, mes enfants, make the fire, and we come.
The jungle night closes in, oppressive and sullen. The stifled wind, heavy with sweetness of jungle flowers, hovers in the denseness of the thicket, stirs lazily the leafy fullness of the tropic trees. On the little platform in the branches, bathed in brilliant moonlight, Jane Porter and Tarzan watch the stars one by one as they cut the velvet darkness of the sky. Both are silent, Jane thinking of her father and trying the next instant to thrust the thought into the background. Tarzan, understanding, feels that when the silence is broken, she must break it.
I suppose I must get used to it. I can hardly realize it yet, that here in this jungle I must spend the rest of my life.
Life? Life?
Oh, it's too much for you, Whiteskin. Life for you is simple, primitive. For me it is, or rather was, quite a complicated affair.
Affair?
That's also too hard, Whiteskin. Your lessons must be along simpler lines. Look, Whiteskin.
Jane takes Tarzan's grass rope, then the quiver with its arrows, the bow, and holding them one by one, she gives them their names as she points to them.
Rope, Whiteskin. Rope.
Rope? Rope? Rope.
That's it. And now, this is arrow.
Arrow? Arrow? Arrow.
Yes, and you shoot the arrow with the bow. Bow.
Bow? Bow. Bow, arrow, shoot, kill.
Concise and expressive. Now, look.
Look? Look?
Look. Look is to look.
And Jane, suiting the action to the word, shades her eyes with her hand and peers from side to side.
Look. Look. See.
Look. See. Look. See.
That's right, Whiteskin. Look. See.
Look. Look. Tarzan takes Jane by the arm, points down the jungle trail. Jane's eyes search the gloomy depths of the forest. Tarzan points to a clump of wild bulrushes bordering the lowland where it falls away to the water hole.
A lion?
Numa.
Numa? Lion?
Numa. Lion. Jane watches the king of beasts pad his silent way down the trail. Again Tarzan grips her arm but points to the opposite end of the clearing.
Cheetah. Cheetah. Horta, Numa. Cheetah. Kill, eat, Horta.
It's a leopard. And a boar.
As Jane says the word, Horta the boar scents Sheeta and darts in the opposite direction. Numa, feeling that he'll lose his meal, bounds forward. Numa and Sheeta, both intent on Horta the boar, have not seen one another. Jane wants to cover her eyes with her hands, but fascinated she watches. Sheeta gathers his slim, muscular haunches under him. The brute's lips curl back, the long, spotted tail straightens. Sheeta springs. Numa stiffens his forelegs, braces his 20 bouts. With a roar, the lion springs. The beasts meet in midair. Escapes into the underbrush. Sheeta's tearing working claws dig into Numa's shoulders. Numa thrusts out his forepaws. All his tremendous strength is bent on keeping the leopard from getting its long claws under the short flesh between the ribs. Spotted cat's jaws snap again and again at Numa's throat. They fall sideways, roll over, Numa. Now the leopard's on top. The baleful eyes gleam as the hot voice struggle works its way into the lion's tawny mane. Numa lashes out with his hind legs, springs to his feet. One swift, mighty blow of his claw sends the leopard staggering. Before Sheeta can recover, Numa launches himself on the cat's back. The huge mouth opens, snaps shut on Sheeta's spine. The leopard drops where he stands, dead.
Horrible.
Numa kill Sheeta. Lion kill Sheeta.
Yes, I suppose it was fair, since the leopard attacked first.
As Jane Porter watches Numa, king of the beasts, with one disdainful look at his vanquished enemy, silently, majestically resumes his way to where he will find some other prey, the water hole. Far off in the black depths of the jungle, Professor Porter, Philander, Clayton, Darno, and the party of sailors under his command await the daybreak.
Are you asleep, monsieur?
I, for one, am not.
No, Lieutenant. Neither am I.
One of my outposts just reported lights moving in the brush. Torches, he said.
Then perhaps we'd better not go to sleep.
If you can sleep, monsieur, do so. I have doubled the watch. But sleep with your rifles at your sides, and on any signal of alarm, do not move any more than to rise to your knees.
That's very well, Lieutenant. You may depend upon me. Where is Philander? I don't hear his voice.
He lay down beside me. He may be asleep. Philander? Philander?
No matter what circumstances, Philander always could get to sleep. The number of times
He's not here.
What, monsieur? You are sure?
See? Here is where he lay down.
Aux armes! À moi! Vite!
Philander! Philander!
Order! Later! Quiet! Everyone, listen.